I know 90s clothing trends have kind of come back in, like fashion trends, starting at around like 2020, 2021. And after buying a few pairs of 90s jeans, I kind of stopped shopping for a while until I gained some weight and I needed to buy some new clothes. And I realized that the 90s fashion is still very strong and very trending right now. I kind of love it. I also did the intro with my glasses on because I thought that these glasses were no longer in trend, and I've just been wearing them because they're comfortable, honestly, but I feel like they're also very 90s-esque, so I wanted to show you. I'm very on brand in this video. Since it's Thursday, I thought it would be a perfect day to do a little throwback inspired makeup look. Now, I was born in the 90s, but I was born in 95, so my memory of the 90s is like essentially non-existent. So everything I know about the 90s is what has been documented on the internet and tabloids and, you know, articles written about the 90s, and from watching Friends religiously in my early 20s. Like, when I say religiously, I mean I watched nothing else for like probably 5 or 6 years straight. I just watched Friends. It was my comfort show. I was going through big life decisions, made some wrong decisions. You know, life. Life really got to me in my early 20s, and Friends really helped me through it. For my brows, I am only filling in like where my darkest hairs are growing. So all of these like stray, wispy, lighter hairs, I'm not gonna bother filling them in. I'm gonna try to make my brows as thin as possible without having to pluck any hairs away, because I feel like my brows are pretty thin already. And I'm just doing the smallest hair-like strokes with the NYX Micro Brow Pencil in the shade Ash Brown. And to make my brows look even thinner, I'm actually dragging the tail out a little longer than my natural brow, just to give it a little more length to make it look even thinner. If you hear some sounds, it's my cat cleaning herself inside my curtain right now. And even though I'm trying to go for like a 90s makeup look, I'm still gonna try to tailor it to today too. Like all of the products that we have today that they maybe didn't use in the 90s, make it like a modern 90s vibe, maybe. I'm gonna go in with the e.l.f. Wow Brow in the shade Natural Brown, just to lay my brow hairs down in one direction and kind of define the hairs a little bit. Brows all done. For my foundation, I'm gonna go in with the e.l.f. Soft Glam Satin Foundation in the shade 21. Recently though, I've actually stopped watching Friends as much. I only watch it like occasionally now when I want like a comfort show to watch. But currently in my life, I'm like Chandler in seasons 8 or 9, where he's like, doesn't everyone hate their jobs? And then he quits his job and has to work as an intern in advertising. That is what I'm considering this pursuit right now into content creation, my unpaid internship after quitting like a stable career in healthcare. And let me tell you, Chandler handled his career change way more gracefully than I did in real life. But I mean, Friends is a show. As much as I wish it was actual real life, it was still a show. For concealer, I'm gonna mix a little bit of this NYX Bear With Me Serum Concealer in the shade Fair, mixed with this LA Colors concealer in the shade Light. And I'm doing pretty light coverage because from what I've read, everything still looked pretty skin-like back then. So I'm going to blend that out with my sponge. And if you saw, I put the concealer a little further from my eye, just so most of the product isn't just sitting inside like the creases under my eye. And I think it makes for a little bit of a less creased look. And I've put some on the top of my nose just to give my nose bridge a little bit of height. And to set everything in place, I'm going to use the Well People Bio-Based Baked Brightener Universal Glow Setting Powder. I'm going to stop saying the whole name pretty soon. And I'm gonna pick some up on my brush, rub it into the lid so it really gets into the brush, and then tap off the excess. And then I'm gonna dust it all over my face, just because back then it was definitely more of a matte look and less of a glowy, hydrated look. I bought this face powder because I thought it would be good for being like a $22 drugstore setting powder, but honestly, it ain't great. I feel like it's very drying and it brings out a lot of texture in my face. And I bought it because it claimed to be like a hydrating powder, which I don't think it is. And it's just like a hard texture, but it's baked, so that's to be expected. But I did go into Sephora and I swatched the Rare Beauty new pressed powder, and it is silky soft, like so soft. It took everything within me to not buy one, but it's so soft. I was like, man, for $8 more, I would definitely have bought that one instead of this one. Man, I keep forgetting to contour because I forget I don't have a powder contour. I only have my liquid contour. So we're gonna use that. We're gonna use that anyway. To contour, to get more of that like supermodel sculpted cheek look, I'm gonna go in with the e.l.f. Halo Glow Contour in the shade Fair. This is a little light for me right now, but that's okay. We're gonna work with it. I've squirted some out on my hand and I'm just picking some up with a brush. And I'm going to start at my ear and kind of stamp it along my cheekbone. And we're gonna do more of like a vertical contour. And again, I'm doing like stamping motions so I don't move too much of my face product underneath. And I'm dragging it all the way down to the corners of my mouth. And then like down this way. Really supermodel looking. Something about doing such a full contour makes me so happy. I don't know why. I think maybe because, like I said, I've gained some weight and wow, that is so much contour. I've gained some weight, so my cheeks have gotten a little chubby, and kind of hiding that away makes me feel just a little better about myself. And if you haven't used this contour before, a little goes such a long way. I'm gonna go back in with my sponge and kind of stamp that away. I swear, in person, it does not look this crazy. I definitely think it's the cameras. I don't look like I have a 5 o'clock shadow in real life, I promise. This is such a seamless blend. Like, in real life, right? This looks a little harsh on the viewfinder. In real life, this blends out so beautifully, like so seamlessly that I'm like, did I put any on my face yet? Ooh, so contoured. And with a very tiny brush with just the smallest amount of product, I'm going to contour my nose. And I'm definitely focusing the brush more on like the tip tops of my nose to create a very slimming look. We're gonna come back to our face in a little bit. I'm gonna move on to my eyes. Going in with the ColourPop Going Coconuts palette, I'm gonna go in with the shade, I think it's Palm Reader. It's this one right here, the taupe shade. And I'm gonna use my fingers and I'm gonna run this all over my lids first. And I know that like smudged eyeliner look with your fingers is like all over TikTok. I just don't know if I'm like brave enough to do that. I don't think I've watched enough TikTok to do that with my eyeliner yet, but we're still gonna go for that like very lived in look. And even though the eye makeup was so like smoky, the colors were actually very like light. Like they did like the light blues, light purples, like more cool toned grayish browns, which makes the smokiness not like intense black dark smoky eyes, but just more of like a gentle like lived in look. And it's very smoky but wearable, I feel like. And just with a fluffy brush, I'm gonna go in with that same color and kind of blend it out, pulling it towards the tail of my brow. We do want our eyes to appear a little more lifted with this 90s inspired look because everything was kind of like snatched back then, I feel like. And please, if you were alive and living life in the 90s, comment down below if any of these are inaccurate and what your experience was like doing your makeup at this time. And after picking up my product, I've been rubbing the brush into the back of this palette and then tapping off my brushes, and I feel like that really pushes the product into the brush, We actually were taught to do this at Bare Minerals when I used to work there because their powders were like loose powders and that's how you push the product into the brush. But I never thought to do that with a pressed powder, and I feel like it makes a world of a difference. Like the blendability of the shadows and just not picking up too much product and being able to blend out your eyeshadows like way easier. If you feel like your eyeshadows have been like a little patchy lately or you've had trouble like blending out your eyeshadows, try giving this trick a try. Try this trick and see if it helps. I love this. I'm just gonna take whatever's remaining and run it along my lower lash line. Usually I use a much smaller brush, but I feel like because we want that lived-in look, I can get away with using a fluffier brush and making this just a little more diffused. With my very same brush, very easy, right? I'm gonna go in with this dark brown shade right here. And I'm gonna pick up very, very little. And I'm gonna focus that on my outer corner and I'm going to pull it up at an angle. And I'm using such light pressure. Just the smallest amount, just to give my eye a little bit of definition. And I'm also putting that on my lower lash line, focusing that on the outer corner. Just to give that another blend, I'm gonna go in with a clean, really big, fluffy brush. And I'm just gonna buff out these edges right here. For eyeliner, I am gonna go in with a brown pencil. And this one is Espresso by CoverGirl. I just feel like a black is just a little harsh on me, so I'm gonna go with brown. But this is like a very dark brown. And I'm going to tightline my upper waterline, let it run on the lashes a little bit. And I'm also gonna run this all along my lower waterline. I just kind of rubbed my eyes with my finger and pulling it up a little bit. Definitely not as brave as all the TikTokers who just do this, but I feel like I kind of blended it out. With a clean angled brush, I'm going to smudge out my upper lash line, and the bottom lash line right here, I'm gonna pull it up into just like a baby wing and then blend it out with my fingers. So it gives a lifted appearance without being like overly precise. I'm like the least fashionable person you've ever met, probably. But I haven't felt so like on trend or like trendy as I do right now with this eye look. Even though like not many people are like actually wearing this out right now, something about this makes me feel very good about myself. Because I want this to be my career, I'm working a little harder to try to stay on trend and, you know, talk about trending topics, which I feel like is actually very hard with how fast trends are changing online. But after going out and shopping, I've realized that like I don't think trends are actually changing that fast. Like I think the micro trends are kind of contained to an online space, whereas trends in real life, like in stores, the clothing really hasn't changed much in the past few years. Very like wide leg pants are still in, linen is still in the summer, cropped crew neck tees. I think the style has stayed pretty constant, and now there's a few more like graphic tees circulating, but that was also a trend in the 90s. So I feel like the past few years it has been so 90s inspired, and it's stayed 90s inspired, especially if you're not living in a huge city like me. You don't see those micro trends happening in real life, and I think that's why I felt like I was so out of the trends and I was so untrendy, because I wasn't seeing it around me. But I also think that is like social media and like the attention span of like short form content, that people need to create these micro trends to stay relevant and to stay seen and entertaining, and it's just not real life. I mean, like obviously social media is not real life, but it's like extra not real life, you know? All of that is to say, if you feel like you're struggling to keep up with the trends and you want to feel trendy and fashionable, and partaking in trends in fashion and makeup is fun, but if you feel like you're struggling to keep up like I was, you're probably not really. I don't think trends are actually moving and changing that fast, is what I'm saying. But I could be wrong because, again, I am like not a trendy person. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. The mascara I'm using is the Waterproof Heroin Make Volume Mascara. After learning how to actually use this mascara, I've actually been loving the way my lashes look with this mascara. Like, it gives enough volume, it gives enough length, and it's super waterproof. And I'm just using a clean spoolie to kind of clean up my lashes and make sure they're not like uber chunky. The difference between my left and right eye is so crazy. Like, this eye, the lashes look so crazy good, and this eye looks crazy. For my blush, I'm going in with a discontinued blush. I'm sorry, this is the most matte and cool toned blush that I have right now, and it's the Bare Minerals the Confession. And I'm gonna place this kind of on the outer parts of my cheek, still on my cheekbone, but definitely with like a very light hand, and more of a vertical placement to give my face, again, more of that lifted, sculpted look. And I don't typically like to put blush up here regularly because when I smile, it kind of like indents, and it's like more obvious that it indents. It's not really like my optimal blush placement. Onto our lips, I'm gonna start off with the e.l.f. lip liner in the shade Cocoa. And this one is way too brown for me. I realize that. We're not only gonna use this, but I'm gonna line my lips with this. If you haven't tried these lip liners from e.l.f. yet, they are so creamy. They're so creamy. I feel like this one in particular is like extra creamy and like extra pigmented. And I'm drawing a few lines in the middle of my lip and down here. I feel like this gives my lip a little bit of a fuller look. And then I'm gonna go in with the NYX lip liner in the shade Natural. This is pretty close to my natural lip shade. Still pink, and I'm going to kind of run it where the brown was and further into my lip. With a clean finger, I'm just going to blend them together. If you have a creamy lipstick in the shade, you should definitely use that. But I don't. I only have lip liners and lip oils because that is what has been trending lately. That's just what I've been gravitating towards lately. I don't even have a lipstick. Like, I don't have a lipstick at all. So this is very matte, very on trend for the 90s, but I can't. My lips just can't be this dry. So I'm gonna stick a lip oil on top. And I just used the e.l.f. clear lip oil. So that is it. This is my finished look. This is my throwback to the 90s inspired makeup look. I love it. I love it. I love everything about this. I get to pretend that I'm living in an episode of Friends. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of this makeup look. How did I do? How accurate was I? And what other throwbacks you'd like to see next. Anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I will see you next time. Bye.